What's up guys, and welcome to the F1 2015 Road to Release. Yes, this is the series where I talk about all things F1 2015, the game that is going to be coming out later this year, made by Codemasters. And, well, last time I did a game ideas video was a very long time ago. It was more than a month ago now. But I'm hoping that this can be a regular thing, so if you guys do like this sort of thing, make sure to leave a like down below if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe for new F1 content. I'm hoping that this can be a weekly series from now on, and last time I asked you guys what you wanted in the career mode for F1 2015, so I'm going to be talking about what I think of those statements that you left in the comments section last time out, and today I'd love to hear what you guys want in the online side of things, and if your question is good enough and I find it interesting, I will include it in next week's episode, and I'll leave your channel down below. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on into today's video, and let's see what you guys have been saying about what you want in career mode. So the first response came from Flying Orangutan from Neran, a good friend of mine on YouTube, and he said, awesome video guys, as always. He said he'd love to see a better career mode with a bit of actual fun. So my idea is driver changes with the possibility of test drivers moving into seats with the main team, seeing as they'd already be licensed to that team. Now this is a good idea in my opinion, because we know that Codemasters obviously have a lot of sort of limits when it comes to the whole licensing thing. But yeah, you know, test drivers, you've got like he mentions there, Susie Wolf for Williams, Robin Frins, Juncadella as well. All of these drivers are licensed, I'd assume, to teams. And then like in F1 2012 and F1 2013, you had the Young Drivers Test, where you had Jules Bianchi driving for Ferrari, Oliver Turvey, I believe, driving for McLaren. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting idea, actually, because career mode for me gets very stale after one season, because, you know, you've just got the same drivers, you know, driving for the same teams, and, you know, it's very, very boring, and I'd love to see, you know, driver changes, but we know with the licensing that's impossible, having like a FIFA-like transfer system. But, you know, if we could have like the test drivers coming up, so like Susie Wolf being able to drive in a Williams, again, I'm not sure if that's possible. Obviously, if the guys from Codemasters are watching this, I'd love to know whether that would be a possibility. And, you know, I think a lot of this is just sort of clearing things up. But, yeah, great idea from Neran, and I'll move on to the next question. So the next one comes from Mr. Josh. I'm just going to call him Josh, actually. Apologies if I can't pronounce it. But he said that he'd like to be able to talk to the team radio with a headset, and also be able to have a parade lap. Now that's we'll start off with a parade lap. A parade and formation lap is something that people have been wanting for years on the game, and especially in career mode, I think it would be great to have a formation and parade lap, because, you know, when you're in a career mode, you really want to feel immersed in the game and feel as if, you know, I've said this so many times, you want to feel as if you're the driver. And I really do think this would really add to a good atmosphere before the race. And, you know, career mode, like I say, you know, it's fair enough if it's a quick race, then you just jump it in. And you don't need all of that BS, you know, all the formation lap or the parade laps. But when you're in a career mode, I think it'd be great to have something like a formation or parade lap. And like I said, it'd just add to the atmosphere. It's something that we even had back in F1 2006. As regards to the team radio, I think it'd be great if they could revamp that for F1 2015. I think it would be quite difficult to talk to the team radio. Maybe if they could implement something on Connect. Maybe something like that. But I think the team radio itself, if they could just make it a little bit more useful, to be honest, because it has been pretty much the same for the last few years. So thanks, Josh, for that response. And once again, we'll move on to the next point. Well, that comes from Alvaro Nieto, who says that he would like the AI to change teams, which we've already mentioned, formation and parade laps, which we've also mentioned, more mechanical failures. This is an interesting one. Now, I believe it was F1 2011 where there was quite a lot of mechanical failures. And, you know, maybe if it is an integral part of the 2015 season, maybe if there are a lot of retirements, then they could put mechanical failures in. And he said that he'd love young drivers to change the teams, in Toro Rosso especially. So, yeah, I mean, that would be interesting, because obviously Toro Rosso and Red Bull are obviously the same, owned by the same company. So maybe if the Toro Rosso drivers, yeah, you know, if they could change up to the senior team and then have the test drivers move up to a senior Toro Rosso seat. And he also says R&D that is more challenging and gives you real improvements. Yeah, the R&D itself in F1 2014, 13, 12, even back to 11 and 10. hasn't really been that challenging. You know, it's just been like complete one lap with the DRS shut. Or without using DRS or KERS. And to be honest, it's not really that challenging. Maybe if they, you know, set you a 10-lap stint where you've got to consistently set good times. Maybe, you know, I think that would be something for the hardcore gamers. So maybe if they could have maybe 2 R&D paths, rather than having aggressive, standard, and is it cautious approach, I believe? If they could have like hardcore approach and casual approach. The casual approach would just be like the 1-lap test, and then the hardcore approach would be for the more dedicated gamers, where they could, you know, do these like longer R&D challenges. He also says that F1 2010 and 2011 press conferences, podiums, and also custom helmets. Yeah, I think we'd all love to see that live the lifestyle back. You know, so many people have mentioned that. So that would be really good to have, and also the podiums, you know, something that was back in F1 2004, I seem to remember. So maybe if they could have like a first-person spectator view, you know, like as if it's in the eyes of the driver, you know, coming out onto the podium at Monza. You know, it'd really immerse the driver, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on stuff like podiums and parade laps and formation laps. Also, custom helmets, I know is something that's difficult to implement into the game, but it would be good to see, nonetheless. And, yep, we'll move on to the next question now. So, thanks once again to Alvaro for that question. Gabriel H says, customizable helmets with team liveries on them. Now, we know that it's impossible for Codemasters to have the customizable helmets with sponsors on them. But, you know, if they could maybe have something like they have in Gran Turismo, where you can have different helmets, or, sorry, same style helmets, but in different colours. So, you know, even on Gabriel's logo, it's grey and yellow. Maybe if you can have a variation of that, where it's grey and orange, grey and green, grey and white, grey and black. You know, just like maybe have like a customizable helmet menu, where you can choose the different colours, even if it is just the same design. And maybe if they could do like Forza Motorsport has, which is a system where when you're customizing car liveries, it gives you different shapes and different letters. If you could put those onto the cars, you know, obviously it isn't breaching any sponsorship regulations. Maybe if you could have like customizable shapes and letters, you know, put your own twist on your own helmet. I'm not sure once again how the licensing would fare with that, but yeah, it would be good to have nonetheless. Review TRJ is next up, and he says that he'd like the idea of a driver relationship, where you could have a relationship or rivalry with your teammate, or make friendships with other drivers on the grid with your engineering team. Now that would be really cool to have. You know, I'd love to see that, because you know, rivalry is something that I've really wanted, and maybe, you know, if you're rivals with your teammate or someone else on the grid, then they'd be more aggressive when driving against you. And, you know, the AI would have different traits. Say they had respect for you, you know, someone like Alonso and Hamilton, you know, they're very well known for having respect for each other on the track. Say that, you know, with a driver you earn a lot of respect with them, that they respect you on the track, and maybe if they don't respect you, then they're more likely to go for aggressive moves, or maybe if they're rivals with you in the championship, then that would be pretty cool to go wheel to wheel with them. Another point that he makes is having followers on a social media account that send you messages of support. Now, social media has become a pretty integral part of Formula 1 nowadays. You know, all the drivers pretty much having Twitter accounts. So that would be pretty cool, you know, maybe like the motorhome in 2010 and 2011. If you could have your own Twitter account where you could talk to your fans or what have you. Yeah, you know, I think that'd be a really cool feature to add. So thanks, Toby, for that suggestion. And, yeah, we'll move on to the next one. Gabriel Gonzalez Fernandez is the next responder, and he says that it would be awesome to choose your number and customize your helmet. Now, we've already gone about the customizable helmets, but choosing numbers, I think, is a pretty simple thing to add into the game. But, you know, it would, once again, add your own identity for your driver. And, you know, the guys from Codemasters said that they weren't over keen on adding this, but if you guys could let me know down in the comments whether that's something that you'd like, and maybe if the guys from Codemasters could let me know whether that is something that is possible to add. You know, it's something small, but again, you know, something that I'd really like to add in the game. VXP Volts, he asks the final question of today's episode, and he says that more changes of car characteristics throughout the season. For example, new wings that make a difference, more aero, and I think what he's getting at here is the R&D objectives. So yeah, the R&D objectives we have already touched on, but even the upgrades, you know, I think it's Tiamat Marduk in his career mode. He seems to have the most useless updates ever. I can't recall any off the top of my head, but you know, if they could have more meaningful updates, like a lot more, say your car suffers from tyre wear, then you could choose to have tyre wear upgrades and what have you. or say you're struggling for aero, like he says there, you know, you could have more aerodynamics, say, if your team isn't great on that. So yeah, I think, you know, if maybe the player could have more of an influence on the R&D, that would be pretty cool. And also he says about the AI characteristics. Now, we've already touched on like aggressive driving, more calm and what have you. So like I said, maybe if a driver has more respect for you, then they're more calm. And maybe if they don't have a lot of respect, or they're, you know, close to you in the championship, they'll be more aggressive. So yeah, very, very valid points from everyone in today's episode. Like I said, make sure you leave down below what you want in the F1 2015 game, especially for the online side of things. And I'm hoping to do this series every week from now on, and once we get some more news, then it'd probably be quite a bit easier to do this series. But nonetheless, I hope you did enjoy this this episode, guys, of the Road to Release. Make sure you share it with the guys from Codemasters, and hopefully we can get some of these features implemented in the new game. But until my next video, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.